Thanks to Cathy's Cookies and Cocolicious VCO for sponsoring this episode. Hello and welcome to Trenta, 30-something conversations with 30-somethings and the 30-something else. Tonight's guest and I go way back, 2002 to be exact, when we started high school. And she's always been the very calm and understanding type, which I think makes her not just an ideal psychiatrist, but an ideal friend. And she's here to give us tips on how to probably assess and cultivate one of the most important relationships, our relationship with our own selves. So please welcome Jaki Chung. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Okay, so just as a background, Jaki is the resident expert of our little group called Blossoms, featured on episode 1 of this podcast, where we talked about letters to our 20-something selves, and she actually made a reaction video to that episode. So, Beshi, you know the drill. Would you care to give your ASL?
Hi, everyone. So I'm Jaki, 30, female, and from Cebu City.
All right, thank you. Okay, so to begin, it's always been said that we are our own worst critic. We have a tendency to be hard on ourselves and be very unforgiving, especially when we make mistakes. So was there ever a time you felt that you were so tough on yourself for something you did or something that happened to you, and how did you cope? Sorry, medyo laom dayon diretso, no?
Yes. Well, yeah, that's true. We are our worst critic. Funny nga mo ni ang first ni mga question, no? Well, yeah, I think there was a time before mga last year, I think.
Oh, sorry.
And yeah, super recent. No, but wait, backstory lang gamay. I've always been hard on myself. Like, bisag, like as far as I can remember, bisag in school, so like before, I was always very shy and like very poor in oral participation, especially in elementary. Like that would always be the comment of my homeroom teacher to my parents na, oh, your daughter is so shy, she should speak up a little bit and all. But during that time, like, syempre, you're just a kid, and then all you can think about is that you're just scared of speaking up, and you're scared of making a mistake, and you're scared nga if you say something, the teacher will say, no, that's wrong, and then your classmates will laugh at you, diba? Yeah. So that's kind of what I carried with me throughout high school, college, even sa med school nga. Even if we're supposed to, like in med school, we have small group discussions, and then we really have to speak up because our grades will depend on it. And then even then, bisag sa med school na, I was still too shy to speak up. But so not just sa academic na side, but also with the social nga aspect of my life. Like, I rarely approach anyone and try to befriend them. Like, no one would ever describe me as friendly. More on quiet, shy, hilumon. It's always like that because I really kanang murag mahadlok bitaw ko nga I might say something wrong, or I might make a fool out of myself, or I might give the wrong first impression and then mo'y mistake. So that's kind of the thing I struggle with, and that's also the kind of the thing I'm hard on myself with. But all those years, I thought nga, pwede rin ako siya ilubong. Where I can just go on with life in this nga murag state, like not speaking up, just going with the flow, murag in group na conversations or group laag, murag I can just listen and then interact. Dili good nga ako good mag-start sa conversation, because even if like kita magkuyog before, murag maulaw pa ko kay like I'd think nga adi lang nina ako i-start nga topic kay basig walay masabay, and then they'll think I'm boring. Murag that's mo gina ang akong thing. So yeah, so I guess that's what makes me appear calm and reserved. Wala din na siya ang akong struggles deep inside. Anyway, so I didn't really give that much attention until last year. Siguro mga Feb last year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, funny nga mao niyang imong question. Anyway, so mga Feb last year, so so there's this guy, no?
Ouch.
I don't mean to make your podcast so cheesy, pero no, seriously. Seriously. So, like, in this day and age, di ba, more acceptable naman for girls to like ask guys out, mga na ba? More, it wasn't ingrained sa atua in our generation, because we kind of grew up with our parents nga mga beliefs nga kanang dalagang Pilipina and all. So there was this time pag mga Feb last year nga murag kanang it was for para na ako, it was like a now or never thing. If you don't ask this person out, wala na, finish na. So it was such a struggle for me nga I really had to come out of my shell. I mean, like this, I don't even speak up para makagrado ko so I can get a grade. So murag unsa na lang ka ni. So murag I was murag padung na gyud unta nga ay dili na lang mo padayon na lang ko sa akong life inana and all. So anyway, ang ending ato nga I just said bahala na whatever comes out of this, and then gi-accept na nako kung unsa ang worst na outcome and whatever. So moto I ended up really doing it, and it wasn't as bad as I expected. Like the worst outcome really didn't happen. The most positive outcome didn't happen either. Murag narapod siya somewhere in between. That's lang. Yeah. So that, and then like after Didi said kana murag after that it kind of opened up my journey to self-discovery. Just self-discovery and like accepting na I'm really conscious, or I really become anxious about what other people think of what I say or who I am.
So your life, wow, your life
yeah.
is like the proof that if you don't ask, the answer will always be no. But for you,
oh my gosh,
it was the other way around. It worked to your advantage.
Yeah.
Speaking of putting things or feelings rather under the rug, this time, this COVID season has really amplified certain mental health concerns. Now, you talked about self-discovery, etc. They all are part of this mental health realm. And interestingly, I just received, I think that was last week, the survey results from your
Ah,
sister who conducted a survey on how people
yeah.
are coping with the COVID crisis, and they were trying to
Mm-hmm.
assess levels of depression, anxiety, stress. So I would like to ask your expert opinion on the impact of the pandemic on mental health, like probably a general assessment, and how millennials
Uh-huh.
like us are taking it.
Okay. Well, obviously, the pandemic is like a huge stressor to all of us. It's like a stick up our butts. Marag,
Mhm.
imagine all of the plans nga ruined because of COVID. Imagine
Right.
all of the kanang like disheartened people nga. I'm sure everyone had big and high expectations for 2020, and
Mhm.
siguro especially for us, I mean, we ended 2019 on a really good note, and we had such high expectations for this year.
Yeah, yeah.
Unfortunately, unfortunately, there's this pandemic, so everyone's plans have been put on hold. And
Mhm.
so I think the one of the biggest things that everyone is struggling with siguro is our anxiety, fear, and like a loss of control. And I think that comes from, so siguro the anxiety, no, like we lost our sense of feeling secure, um, especially na there are all these updates about COVID na it could be transmitted na through air, it pwede siya airborne na, and then we hear all these stories about people na like they didn't go out, they just
Mhm.
contracted the disease from the delivery person, or um, many close relatives or family members, like they weren't exposed to anybody, they were even very careful, they were very like they even made a point to isolate themselves siguro in sa ilang condo or whatever, yet they still got the disease. So it makes us so anxious, and murag so maka-ask ta sa atong self so murag unsa man yung point nga grabe kaayo ko nga ka-careful nga ma-COVID raman di ay ko. So
Right.
that in itself, marag, it makes us feel we are not in control of anything. And I think that is one trigger for our anxiety and syempre fear. And I think the sense of detachment, like
Mhm.
detachment from mga social connections, because it's really different if we are physically meeting with a person. Like,
Mhm.
murag naagay aura ba if a person is physically present, if you are conversing in person compared to kani on screen, online,
Mhm.
and detachment from future goals kay like we don't know if maabot pa ba kaha ko next year, siguro those people, the students who are in school, mahuman pa ba kaha kog school, online classes are such a struggle, it's really a challenge. And
Right.
then like ma-fulfill pa ba kaha na ako akong dreams, and then siguro sa mga new moms will I maabot pa ba makagraduate po kaha niya akong anak, will I still be there to see that, and all those things are
Mhm.
beyond our control, and then all those things are also causing us anxiety.
Mhm.
And also, like, even if we can go out, di ba? So, dapat gihapon i-impose ang social distancing. Dapat gihapon i-impose ang pag-wear of mask. Bisag mo eat in a restaurant, there is only maximum two per table, and maximum ra pila ka people in a restaurant. Murag, you still feel detached even if you are in the presence of other people. And there is also that looming fear or looming paranoia nga, what if that person was an asymptomatic carrier, and then madala pa na ako ang ang disease or whatever. And after pa jud ana, like what if magka-COVID ko? And then, considering the situation sa healthcare sa ato ang country, siguro like the referral system, puno na ang mga hospitals, na halos wala jud na subsidize ang ato ang healthcare. You really have to pay for everything. So there's also anxiety there. What if I won't be able to pay for this and everything? So yeah, that could be really stressful for all of us.
I also think some of the top concerns brought about by this prolonged isolation goes into, as you mentioned earlier, the work or professional life, like setting. I think one of the bigger concerns is setting boundaries, especially for those who haven't really experienced working from home, and then now they're all forced to work from home. There are articles on people experiencing screen fatigue, and at the same time, the pressure to be productive. So how does
true. True.
How do you think people can cope with this type of pressure, this new type of pressure, I guess?
Well, I think, first, let's start with, we become pressured to accomplish everything. Siguro kay we think na we're just at home and we believe that we have more time. So then if we have more time, then we can do more things. We are kind of like thinking we could do more than we can actually handle. Kay compared to last time, compared to the time before the pandemic, like if example, you have a meeting 8 a.m. somewhere in Capitol, and then you have another meeting 10 a.m. somewhere in Mabolo. If your meeting in Capitol area finished at mga 9:45, then you'd certainly be late to your 10 a.m. Mabolo meeting. You could cancel it for whatever reason. Pero now, if your meeting ends at 9:55, you still have 5 minutes to get to your 10 a.m. appointment. So, without recognizing na kapoy di siya, it's tiring to just sit in front of the computer all day, and then we kind of don't realize it because ang nasa atong mind is we're just sitting down, we're just at home, accessible ra ang food siguro, or like I'm not exerting that much physical effort, so I won't be as tired, inana. So we kind of believe nga we could do more. So that's one thing makapatired. Another thing is siguro if ang stress with the internet, na if we don't have a good internet connection, it's stressful. Okay, example, what if ako ang mag-present sa board meeting or whatever, so and then your internet has been really crappy for the past few days, so it's also an added stress sa imong brain. It's also an added anxiety na what if in the middle of my presentation, like this was a make or break presentation, what if in the middle of it makalit lang og kaputol akong internet or ma-freeze akong face sa Zoom, what's going to happen and all. So that's really stressful. So siguro the first thing that comes to mind is na we should remember na we function the way, like the same way nga as we would have without the pandemic. Na even if naay technology, it does make things easier but not necessarily lighter sa atua. So we murag i-manage po nato ang atong selves, i-manage po nato ang ato ang time. I guess learn to say no to things na you believe are toxic or you believe are too much. If you think na you are stretching yourself too much, or if like something or someone is asking too much of you nga dili na pud nimo kaya, I think it's okay to say no, as we would have before the pandemic. So, like, i-compare sa, di ba, traveling in traffic from Capital to Mabolo in 15
Mhm.
minutes will take certainly more than 15 minutes. So, in that, during that time, pwede man ta mo ingon nga, I'll be late, I can't make it, blah, 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 blah. So, karon, I guess, pwede gihapon na nato mabuhat. I think, wala pod kayo na exercise sa mga tao ang kana kay naman tayo mentality nga. Pwede rin ni, pwede rin ni, because everything's online, easily accessible tanan. So, I guess, makalimot ta nga, we also can say no to things if
Mhm.
we feel na marag toxic na siya, too much, or harmful na siya.
It's interesting you said no na it's okay to say no to things or people even when you feel it's already toxic for your mental health. And I think the pressure to be productive also spills over to our personal life, especially because of social media. Everyone's
Mm-hmm.
posting, oh, okay, they learned something
Yeah.
new today. They're
True.
into
Mm-mm.
new hobbies, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And another thing that's big in the personal life aspect is, I guess you mentioned also this earlier, detached relationships because of the lack of physical
Mm-hmm.
connection. So how
Yeah.
has this affected our mental health, and what are the probably the steps we can the little steps we can take to uh sort of balance this out, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I think this is where self-compassion comes in. Self-compassion is being gentle with yourself and like adopting a kindly perspective on yourself in spite of your shortcomings or your mistakes or your perceived failures. Okay, like, di ba, we are our worst critic. So, if example, I'm not so productive today, then I kind of feel guilty. So I want to make up for it. Like, I'm
Right.
going to be twice as productive tomorrow. And then if I can't do that, I want to be thrice as productive the next day. Like, para lang pambawi, di ba? Like, to ease the guilt, like to take away the guilt. And in an attempt for us to feel better about ourselves. But
Right.
we're unaware na that's also toxic, Mark. It's also eating us up inside, and it's counterproductive to our goal of achieving more things. Kay Mark, it's also tiring. Makapoy man sad ta. So I think this is where the self-compassion comes in.
Mhm.
um, it's uh it starts, I think, with like being aware sa atong self and I guess catching ourselves in that state
Right.
of the toxic na cycle, di ba? Okay, we could be so deluded into thinking na I should be this, like I should be productive as this person. So ako, like, on a personal note, I really feel that, especially when I go through Facebook, I stopped Facebook for a while, pero I had to go back because of the business, diba?
Shout out to
So
Cathy's
I see
cookie.
tag. Um, I had to go back, like, to check out pod now. What are the people, like, what do the people want? Do they want free delivery? Do they want
Mm.
COD? Para pod nga, I think that's part of man pod of letting your business grow. So as I was scrolling through Facebook, murag nakakita ko sa other nga pages, like they have more page likes than mine, their posts have more likes, and daghan mga comments, and especially those accounts nga, like they really post ng mga feedback, and then I've never done that. Only recently, like only this week, ako ga-post ano mga feedback stuff, and then like it makes me feel nga murag doubt na sad nako akong self nga murag okay, baka ani ang ako ang, like, lami, baka ni ang akong cookies, nga why do my posts not get that much likes, and then, where it can really affect you, like that kind of thing, magikuan sa social media, it can really affect you. So, with that, we're gonna stop na said ko. I stopped again. I deleted the app again, and I said, screw this. Bahala ng mga likes. Like, dili na ko magpa-affect or anything. I think nga, wala na siguro ko i-prove. May kiba magit ko. Ako mismo lang yan, maganit ko. So, bahala na. I think like, you really have to catch yourself nga, and you really have to realize kung unsa gyud ang source of stress sa imuha. And then take a break. I think muna ang important thing. So, like social media, a digital detox siguro. And for mga work and like mga work issues mo to take a break, learn to say no. I think mo apply maghihapon ang mga paid leaves now, even if everyone is working from home. I think applicable gihapon na siya nga employee benefit. So if you feel na you need a break, I think, and napakay enough leave credits, then I don't think there's anything wrong with availing of that.
Right. You mentioned your, what do you call this? Your pagkaalanganin on Facebook. Like being unsure of yourself because when you see other sellers online getting more likes, etc., it causes a little self-doubt in you. And I think, well, not so long ago, mental health, the topic of mental health was rather taboo. Like when people say you meet society standards of, let's say, success, you're automatically considered mentally healthy. But now there's that recognition that even if you're a high performer or you meet society's definition of success, it's also possible that you struggle with mental health issues. Have you had any, I mean, do you agree with that? And have you had any first-hand experience dealing with, say, have you observed people like that? And how has that affected them?
Yeah, I agree with the fact nga recently lang yun siya nga murag ni come to surface ang kanang mga mental health issues, because I agree po nga, I'm not sure sa other countries, in especially the developed countries wherein we're established na kaayo sa ilaha ang mental health is just as important. So it's also probably because of the stigma nga it's still strong here sa ato ang country.
Right.
And so siguro the people who are tagged as successful, basin po, like they conceal it or they don't talk about it because of the stigma, and siguro they're afraid of like being told nga kanang era na nga ang anong ma-depress man ka nga you have all these things, you achieved everything inana, or nganong gidauto man nimo imong self nga dagan kayo kag mga awards inana. So siguro they're also they also want to avoid that or being told that. I think I haven't come across a patient yet na so siguro ang successful na sa akong mind is somebody na kanang siguro let's say like a successful business person or somebody who has accumulated a nice amount of wealth. Well, wala pa ko nakakam across of somebody like that. Pero siguro intellectually or academically successful na there are mga so mga students, I guess, nga, they achieved so much. Like, ang ilahang grades are really, really high. Yet, they still struggle with mga mental health issues. Ang uban, like anxiety, naapoy uban na with depression. And then, where it kind of also affects them, and it kind of makes them uh, doubt themselves even more. So murag dili na bitaw para sa ilaha, murag dili na bitaw mo matter. Murag grades are just grades. They're not the grades nila don't make them a better person sa ilahang pananaw, because grades are just numbers. Kana ganing I think kana ganing the thing we have na where I achieved this, pero kulang gihapon. So I need to achieve more. So I need to achieve more. So the pursuit of that kind of achievement can provoke, I guess, mga mental health issues, or could really be a struggle for them.
As an advocate of mental health, how do you try to break that stigma and make, normal people like us, be more comfortable to talk about these issues, be more open to talking about these issues?
Siguro, I'd start with saying it's okay to not be okay.
Wow.
Plug ang Netflix nga series. Pero, yeah, I think people need to realize that more. Na it's okay to have bad days. It's okay if life goes wrong sometimes. It's okay if we make mistakes. Okay, like life isn't perfect. Nobody is perfect. If we strive to achieve that perfect life, it will do us more harm than good. We will never be happy in that pursuit. And so, well, let's get a little bit nerdy here. So, I guess to promote or enhance self-compassion, I guess, three na barag, what do you call this? 3 interventions or something comes to mind. So the first, I think, would be, it's called mindfulness, self-compassion. So mindfulness basically is like being aware of our thoughts, our feelings, our sensations, being aware of them and accepting them as they are in a gentle and non-judgmental manner. Because we all feel anxiety, we all feel fear, we all judge ourselves, we all criticize ourselves. That's part of being human. And I think kinahanglan nga people need to realize that these are part of us. Now, we are not, as a whole, we are not only made up of positive traits. We are made up of both positive and negative. And that's what makes us like beautiful as creatures, diba? So we need to recognize that. And I think that's what mindfulness helps us with. So this is I read this quote from Dr. Deepak Chopra. I think murag koan gud siya, like significant proponent of mindfulness and meditation. A healthy mind is not a positive mind but a quiet mind. So trying to be positive, diba? It's really stressful, and it's also really toxic, and we kind of impose mga unattainable standards on ourselves. Like, you should be happy, you should be positive always, diba? You should be optimistic no matter unsa ang mga circumstances. So that's so stressful. Okay, it's also toxic because magka-think man sad ka nga, oh my gosh, I'm not happy. Na, is there something wrong with me? And that creates a whole more another cycle of anxiety. So I guess we should realize, or we should be aware na more, this is like, for example, if you're in a bad situation, siguro example, like you've been, like you recently were broken up with. So, you know, it's normal to feel sad. Like, it's normal to cry your heart out, diba? So, like, recognize it nga, I've been through a really bad situation and I feel really sad about it. I feel so isolated. And that's okay. And like, I'm not alone in this feeling this way. Like, it's not, dili ra ako ang nakaagi og ingon ani. And then, I think diha pwede like ma-insert nga, you could be kind to yourself in that moment. And you could forgive yourself or be kind to yourself for like crying your heart out. I mean, you don't have to be guilty, or you don't have to perceive yourself as weak kay grabe kaayo kaka-down or grabe kaayo kaka-daot. It's okay. Like, each one of us reacts differently to different things. So kung inguna na ka mo react, then go. That's you.
True.
Diba? So another one would be it's positive psychology. So I guess kuyog din ang mga existentialism and mga humanistic na mga theories. So positive psychology, it's not about thinking positive. It's about like cultivating our strengths, or and developing like learned optimism, kanang finding meaning in our daily na mga struggles, or like in our misfortune. So more on sa existentialism na side, it's about finding meaning in life's suffering. Kay more as humans, we do suffer. More maagi magyuta og kalisod, like everybody maagi magyuta og kalisod. And then it doesn't make us less of a person if mas dako ta kalisod giagi kaysa sa lain nga tao, di ba?
Yeah.
So yeah. So here with the existentialism part, it's about finding meaning in that suffering sa imo, like, and we're discovering the meaning in life. Kay that saan pag say like, it's not about finding happiness, rather it's about finding meaning, I think. Yeah, kana.
There's a book,
And
actually, diba, there's a book on Man's Search for Meaning by Victor.
Yeah. Have you read that?
Yeah, the Holocaust survivor.
Yeah, it's a really good book. To the listeners, if you have time, it doesn't really take a long time to read, and siguro it doesn't really go that much into detail about the Holocaust things, pero more on what Viktor Frankl learned. It's really an eye opener. I think iyang favorite quote na ano sa to? Katong if you figure out the why, then you could wait. Kunya na lang. I forgot the exact
go ahead.
quote.
I also forgot. I think I read that book like 4 years ago. So ano ko remember.
But it's a very popular quote.
Him clinging on to what he found meaning in, just to survive.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So that we're considering ba nga, he was in the middle of the Holocaust. I think that was one of the world's worst tragedies nga. Kung ako lang personally, ako lang ma-think na if a human makaya niya find hope in that situation,
Yeah.
I guess I can do that too.
Right.
You know. So appeal pud na sa ako ang finding meaning in my life. Char.
Wow.
And the last would be, and this is the one closest to my heart.
Mhm.
It's cognitive behavioral therapy,
Okay, I'm taking notes.
founded, yeah, founded by Dr. Aaron Beck.
Mhm.
So it so Dr. Beck developed a cognitive model which describes, yeah, how our thoughts affect our emotions and our behaviors. So uh, undergoing this therapy, um, so usually people who undergo this kind of therapy, usually they are in distress. So pwede sa mga people with mga severe anxiety or severe depression and everything. So this therapy aims to sort of elicit a positive change or in the mga maladaptive beliefs that we have. So as humans, we all have core beliefs, or these are like deeply held assumptions that
Mhm.
we have about ourselves, about others, and about the future. So, uh, for example, the beliefs about ourselves, they're grouped into three categories. So, under helplessness, or we believe na I am incompetent, I am a failure, I'm not good enough. And
Mm.
then we have like unlovability, so like I'm unappealing, I'm not um, I have nothing to offer to other people. I am unlovable. And
Mm.
then the third category would be worthlessness. So like I'm a bad person. I'm
Mm.
evil. I'm toxic. I'm a danger to other people. So muna siya beliefs about ourselves, and then belief about others, like other people are trying to are out to hurt me. They're
Mhm.
out to get me. Other people are so judgmental, and then other people are not trustworthy. And then beliefs about the world would be na the world is like a fundamentally hostile or
Mm.
dangerous place. So those kinds of beliefs, where I think I believe to a certain extent, uh, we I mean, everybody has that. Pero siguro, for people with mental health problems, they can be magnified and like overgeneralized and like global. They could have like global assumptions of everything. So anyway, ang kaning cognitive behavioral therapy. So it kind of through different kinds of mga methods and mga different mga techniques, like it aims to kind of modify our core belief, or
Mhm.
at least modify our mga thoughts, so that ma-modify ang atong thoughts, so that ma-modify pod how we feel and how we
Mhm.
behave and everything. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for those three tips, which I are really useful in keeping a mindset, protecting actually your mental health, and keeping that
Mhm.
mindset to help us cope with the
Yeah.
next normal. Because really,
Yeah.
practicing, as you mentioned, self-compassion impacts our mental health and our overall well-being. Do you
Mhm.
have any, in closing, do you have any parting words or maybe final tips on how you yourself have you know overcome these struggles, the mental health aspect? I mean, like,
Mhm.
yeah, you
Yeah.
mentioned your self-doubt, your
Oh,
shyness.
yeah. So, uh, in summary, Char, my journey towards self-compassion. Well, it's still ongoing, but the journey as it has been was a long and arduous one.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. It's not easy to face yourself. It's not easy, um like to so um the journey of self-compassion also involves self-discovery. So you also have to have courage, and you also have to be brave enough to face your insecurities, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Like, um I want, like, i-plug mo yun ako at the end. So I think like we all have our inner demons, diba? Like the
True.
things nga we don't want to show to the world. Like
Mm-hmm.
we we hide in the dungeons of our mind. Before, I thought na you were supposed to hide them. I thought you were supposed to lock them up and forget about them. Nga murag, I thought that was how you're supposed to deal with things.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you lock them up, the more you push them away, like the louder they become. You know,
True.
imagine murag, siguro, like imagine a medieval fairy tale nga na ay dragon nga kind of like knocking or breathing through the door nga sa kaloud niya eventually, na the efforts that you have made to hide them, to conceal them, mawala gyud siya.
Mm-hmm.
Kay ultimately, I guess we can really never get rid of them. Our inner demons will always be there. So we have to be brave enough. Like I had to be brave enough, like to face them and like grab them by the horns and saying, yeah, we are going to live this life together. Na I used to have you control me before,
Mm-hmm.
but knowing nga I can't control you, ang ako ana lang is nga I won't let you control me. So kind of um like imagine developing like a friendly relationship with your inner demons, like just letting them be there. So siguro sa ako, ever since I kind of set them free, they've kind of had space to roam around such that dili na sad kaayo sila ga bother sa ako. I In the past year and a half, siguro I think na I've grown more confident. I kind of believed in myself more. I've learned to speak up in group conversations.
So true.
I've accepted mga talks. Hi, ay ni
Yeah.
Ninya, who invited me to my first ever like talk, which
Oh, I
wala
didn't know
unta
that
na
was
ako
your first.
gi-accept. Yeah, that was the first, like,
Wow.
thanks to her na open good ang mga doors of my life.
Aw.
Yeah, so like mo balibad ba gyud unta ko ato, but I just decided nga bahala na. So anyway, fast forward to mga second half siguro of 2019 nga nga nag-accept nako og mga ingon ana nga mga talks and stuff. I still have the doubts obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Like I still kanang um I still doubt myself if maka-deliver ba ko og ingon ani or something, but I just recognize them nga kanang gi-acknowledge lang nako sila, and okay, naamo nga mga thoughts, and I'll just keep you there, but
Right.
I won't let you control me and kung unsa akong gusto buhaton. And it's kind of hard to explain, pero ang ako ana lang nga personal nga experience with that.
Mm-hmm.
So mo na siya.
Wow, so inspiring. And self-compassion really, after listening to you talk about self-compassion, it really doesn't equal, or it's not equal to selfishness. On the contrary, it's really like filling yourself so you have more to give. And
True. That, yeah, so true.
'di ba? And you mentioned earlier a lot of plans got postponed, canceled even during COVID. And COVID was really in your face, like in your face, telling you life doesn't always go as planned. And if anything,
True.
this pandemic gave us an opportunity to rest, to reset, to pause,
Yeah.
and then
True.
later hit play after a rewiring that was long overdue. So, Beshi, thank you very much for sharing your non-shy side. And wow, I really learned a lot. I took a lot of notes. I hope this helps anyone
Oh,
who
thanks.
may be needing to hear this sometime. So,
Sure.
yeah, thank
I'll
you
leave
so
you
much for
some
sharing.
resources po.
Yeah,
Oh,
go
sure,
ahead.
you're welcome. Yeah,
Go
para
ahead.
pa din mo mabutang sa blog.
All right. Yeah, on my show notes, Joss.
Yeah.
Stop. I'll just stop recording, but let's chica after, and we have our beer and soju. So, yeah, thanks
Sure.
again, Bash. Bye.
Thanks. Congrats on your 12th episode.
Aw, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks to Cocolicious VCO for sponsoring this episode. Paolo joins us again this week for VCO Knowledge Corner to talk about the process of making VCO. Hey, Paolo.
Hey Paige, it's great to be back.
Welcome back for the nth time. So, first question is, how is your virgin coconut oil produced?
Alright, so going back to our earlier segments, I mentioned that our VCO is produced through a wet process. Now, what is the wet process? So, first and foremost, we use freshly harvested mature coconuts. From that, we extract the meat from those mature coconuts, and then moving forward, we extract the coconut milk from it. So once we have that coconut milk, it goes through a process called centrifuge, which helps extract or separate the oil from the milk. And in doing that, all the moisture content is separated as well. So you have to remember that in this process, absolutely no heat is added.
Which
And-
is a good thing.
Yes, which differentiates our product from those that are made with the dry process, which involves heat.
I see. Is it refined, bleached, or deodorized?
All right. So our VCO doesn't go through any of those processes. The oil isn't refined. The the color of the oil isn't bleached, nor is the smell taken out.
Great. What about, is VCO your primary product of process?
Yes, our VCOs is the main product, and it's not a byproduct.
So it's really pure. You're assured that it's really pure.
Yes, yes.
What about, I'm curious about the raw material used, the coconuts themselves. First, where are they grown and how are they cared for?
Right. So our coconuts are grown and harvested in coconut farms by the waters of the Moro Gulf in Mindanao. So basically, our farm is beside the beach, and that salt water as a natural fertilizer provides the electrolyte requirement for the soil to grow productive coconut trees.
Ooh, interesting. Are your coconuts grown without harmful chemicals and harmful fertilizers?
Yes, our farmer partners practice sustainable farming because it's a matter of survival. So no, we do not use any harmful fertilizers or chemicals.
Wow. Is the coconut oil made from fresh coconuts and not dried copra?
Yes, it's made from freshly harvested mature coconuts about maybe 10 to 12 months old. And these coconuts contain a lot of oil.
Okay, so for my last question for this segment, do you use any animal testing on your products?
The short answer to that is no, we do not.
All right, that's really great to hear. So, Pao, thanks again for joining us tonight, and we'll see you again on the next one.
Thanks again, Paige, and thanks everyone.